All right, I think we can get started. Thank you. And I also work with the Build Guild supporting Scaffold ETH, teaching developers how to build on Ethereum. So Scaffold ETH, if you've not heard of it, it is a toolkit for essentially kind of rapidly prototyping. It's great for hackathons. It comes with a lot of pre-configured. It's also fully TypeScript, and it supports both Hardhat and Foundry. So you can use different chains. There is some really good documentation on the website. So if you go to the docs, we're actually going to be going through that today and showing off some of the features. But there's a lot of information about, we have some built-in components, which we'll talk about. We also have the hooks and the ability to read and write from a smart contract here as well. And then we also have some like recipes along with how to ship your dApp above and beyond the normal scope. And one of those extensions that's really cool is the subgraph extension, which is to be able to do a graph subgraph. So that's particularly useful as well. So anyways, let's kind of get started. We're going to kind of use those docs as we go through. But what I want to do is just start scaffolding out an application. We don't have slides or anything like that. We're just going to actually do some real-time coding. So when you want to install Scaffold ETH, you can do it two ways. You can either clone the repository or you can use NPX. I highly recommend using NPX. It says beta, but it's not really beta. So we can just copy that over here and just bring up our terminal. So we're going to use a couple windows to work with Scaffold ETH, actually a few windows. So you started, let's paste in this command, hit enter. It's going to ask you if you want to install the package. If you've never ran this command before, just go ahead and do that, say yes. And then it's going to give you this kind of like choose your own adventure to get started building a dApp. So we will do this, we will call it Bangkok app, something like that. And it's going to ask us what chain we want to use. So I particularly like Hardhat. If you're doing a lot of testing and you want to use Solidity, Foundry is good for that. If you're worried about performance, Foundry is also a little faster. Hardhat, you're going to be writing all of your tests and deployment scripts pretty much in TypeScript. So if you're familiar with TypeScript, Hardhat's the better option. Otherwise, you can also not use a chain at all if you want to just kind of connect directly to some SDKs as well. But we're just going to choose Hardhat, go out and set that up. So depending on your internet connection, this might take a little while. So in the meantime, let's kind of just split up our screen here. So again, we are going to use a few screens. So I'm just going to kind of split it open here. The one on the left, top left, that's installing all the packages, we'll use to run our chain. The one on the top right, we're going to use to basically run our front end. And then this one down here on the bottom, we're going to use to do all of our deploys and kind of like manage our terminal, right? So we'll give that 1 second to kind of get going. Actually, it looks like it might finish soon here, but yeah. So let's just open up the mentioned Scaffold ETH is this mono repo. So it has two packages. It has your chain and it has your front end. So here for the chain, we chose Hardhat. So it's got a Hardhat directory, and then inside of that directory is a contracts folder as well as the deploy script that holds the deploys. So if you click on your contract, it's going to give you a very basic contract that comes with Scaffold ETH. It's kind of like a hello world contract. It's called the greeter, or we call it your contract, but it's really a greeting contract that allows you to set a greeting and you can change it. It's also got some like basic functionality like Hardhat console. It's also got the ability to change a string over a function. So we'll show that here in a second. It's got an event. But for the most part, it's a very basic contract. It's nothing fancy. And so after all the packages are installed, the internet connection is going to be a little slow right now. But yeah, basically it's just this kind of greeter contract. It's also got this kind of owner pattern as well. Like we have a modifier here. Modifiers are used to essentially like set some rules on if a function is the owner of the contract essentially. So it's kind of like an access control contract. And we set that up when we deploy the contract here inside this constructor. So we're going to gut this contract in a sec. And actually, yeah, well, but first let me show it off a little bit. So it's actually, here is the Hardhat directory. There's also a test folder. Again, it's a TypeScript test system. So there's already a test for the contract that comes. Good to know that it's there. And then Next.js folder is where the front end is. So we go to there, we click on app, and it uses app router. So it's very convenient. You can create a new folder, put in a new page.tsx file, and you'll have a new path. And then you can update the header component or the header component here to basically have that path really quickly. And then you'll have a menu as well. So it's really, really convenient. But if we go into this app folder, we have this kind of like main page. Again, it's all TypeScript. It's all syntax red right now because it's still installing all the packages and it hasn't, there's some missing dependencies, so that's why. Yeah, you know what I might do is actually use a different one because it looks like it's not gonna. If it does do this for you, you can do this and do a yarn. So go into the directory and just do a yarn install. Should install the dependencies. Let's see if that works. So I might have gotten like hung up or something like that. That's very, very slow. That's the problem with these hackathons. There's too many people trying to okay, well, you know what I'm going to do is I have another one here that's called testing that I set up earlier. So I'm just going to reset this repository. Hardhead. Okay. This one's good. This one should be good to go. It's the same thing. It would have just prompted a thing that says, hey, what do you want to do next? Do you want to install go into the folder and then start up the front end? And basically that's what we're going to do. So we would have gone into the folder. We'll do yarn chain. So that's going to spin up our blockchain, right? So no matter which chain we chose, yarn start. So that's going to spin up our front end on port 3000, right? And then in this one down here below, we're going to do a yarn deploy. So what that's going to do is going to take that contract that came with Scaffold ETH and deploy it. It's going to run essentially the deploy script, which we're going to look at here in a little bit. But in the case of Hardhat, it's a TypeScript file that deploys the contract, tells you how much gas that it took, and it tells you the address and the transaction hash. And then you can see we drew some output in the deploy script as well. And yeah, everything's good. We have the front end up. Our blockchain's working. We get some console logging that we're doing here. So that's really convenient. So let's take a look at Scaffold ETH. So it's on port 3000. So we're going to go to localhost 3000. And this just might take the connected address with the address right here. And then if we click on debug contracts, that's the real like magic part of Scaffold ETH. When you compile your contract, you write some Solidity code, right? It's a very high level language, and then it gets compiled down into bytecode. And that bytecode is what is deployed onto the blockchain as a transaction. When that happens, you're also generating an API, right? And so it's front end for us, and let us start testing our contract. So we know we have a greeter contract that has this greeting. We know it has an owner variable. We know it has a premium and a counter, and it has this read to read how many times someone's changed the counter, and then a write to basically change it. So we could say, all right, hello, Bangkok. This, exclamation mark, hit send. It's going to tell us that we don't have enough money to pay for gas because our wallet here that comes in Scaffold ETH, that's called a burner wallet, it doesn't have any gas out of the box, right? So we just need to get some funds here from the faucet, and then we can hit send, and now we've signed a transaction, and it's working, right? So we're able to test our contract window, go to the same address, and you'll notice that we get the same option, burner wallet, but it's a new identity, right? So then we can start doing some testing. We can maybe use this as like an alternate profile, and then we can use this one for that. Okay, so let's kind of take a look at the contract. Let me close this. Oh, this is the wrong directory, so let me open this one here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and just kind of make a really basic. I just want to remove like mostly everything. So I'm going to remove all the variables. I'm going to remove the events. I'm going to keep the constructor, but I'm just going to get rid of this, the owner pattern. Let's do that. Let's wipe this out. Let's also wipe this out. Let's get rid of the greeting function. We don't really need that as well. And let's get rid of that emit. So all this stuff. So we're just kind of cleaning it up so it's easy to see, okay? So we'll do that, and then get rid of all this commenting. Okay. That should be good. So message.sender is like a global variable for anyone who calls the contract. So in this case, we can use that because anyone who calls this function is going to be the the message sender. So we should be able to save that. And if we were to try to deploy right now, it's going to fail. And that's because we've taken out the constructor, which had some arguments. And we also were doing some console logging in the deploy script. So if we were to take a look at the log here, it would say, well, you tried to deploy, but we expected one argument. Sorry, we expected 0 arguments, but we got 1. So that means you can come in here and you can adjust how the contract's deployed. So we can say, okay, well here we get a copy of the contract, and we do that. We use the Hard Hat environment to deploy the contract. So we get a list of all of the addresses that are coming from Hard Hat, and we use the very first address to deploy it by calling the deployments from Hard Hat. And then here we do a await and then deploy the contract. And we use that deployer account, that first private key and public key, to deploy the contract. And here is where we were passing along the argument for the owner. So we just want to get rid of that, because that's where the arguments are. So you can put like maybe your token's name in there, or a supply of the token, or whatever might go in there. And then we also are doing this console logging right here. Well, it's cool because we can get a copy of the contract here to interact. So now we should be able to save that and then go ahead and deploy again. Let's see if that works. There it goes. So now it deployed successfully and tells us how much gas. Okay. So that being said, let's take a look and see what happens. So everything changes, right? All of our stuff gets deleted and kind of wiped out. So what we could do is just start building out some stuff here. So let's do address public boss equals, and let's grab our burner wallet right here. See this one right here? So we have this address. Let's copy it and let's paste it in there. So now we have this variable called boss. It's the address. It's my wallet. It matches right here. So we and it's going to take in an address underscore address. And let's have it do boss equal underscore address. Yeah, I think that should be working. Let's see, what did I do wrong? Oh, public, yeah. So address function, address public. There we go. Let's try that again. Cool, so that it's got ENS resolution here. It will resolve that, and then we can hit send. No access account. What is that? I probably messed something up. Let's see, what did I do? Let's take a look at the code. So function address function up. Let's try it again. I think something was going on. It was like mid deployment. The internet connection's a little spotty right now, so it may be messing me up. There we go. We're able to like read a variable. We're able to write a variable. So now, you're probably going to want to do a lot more stuff to the contract. This is not a Solidity workshop. We want to show off the features of Scaffold ETH. So it's really cool. We're able to start kind of doing these things and mess around. And we know where the contract is. We know where our deploy script is. We know how to like update things for the most part. But you probably want to polish your application a lot more, but we're going to go ahead now and start adding some front-end stuff just to kind of show off how you can hook up to your contract. So we're going to kind of close the Hard Hat folder. I don't think there's anything yet I want to show in there. There is a Hard Hat config, which is useful. We'll get to that in a sec. But for right now, let's talk about Next.js. Okay, so if we go to Next.js and we go to app, and then we go to the page, this Hello World page that you see when you first open Scaffold ETH that is on this main page here is right there, right? It's the root. What I like to do is I just come in here and grab everything that's inside of this, right? Save it. And then I just, we might use that connected address, but I get rid of everything that is not highlighted anymore, clean it up a little bit. And then we have this kind of like empty page. It's like a clean slate. So what we can do now is we can say, well, we actually can check what the connected address is, and we can just put it in here like this, right? Connected address. And it's going to display up here. Really ugly, right? No one wants that in their app. It's not going to look good. So Scaffold ETH uses Daisy UI. So you can go to daisyui.com, And what we can do is just add a component. There's a bunch of components here. So grab a card. I like to grab a card because what we're going to do is replace this for right now, and we're going to put it right inside. I'm also going to wrap it in another div, so I'm not a front-end programmer by any means, but let's just kind of try to make it look as pretty as we can. And then I always like to, so now we have this kind of card, it's this little Nike. We're not going to sell Nikes on chain, so we're going to get rid of this stuff. And now let's save. Cool. So now we have this little card. What we probably want to do is take this big div, and then we want to center it. So we'll add some CSS. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's not right. What is that doing? Okay, class name. Sorry, right here. And then we'll go flex items center and justify center. Save it. There we go. And then now we can like add some padding. We'll do padding 3. Save that. Now we got some padding on it. It looks starting to look a little bit better. We're not going to buy anything. We're just going to be like, click me. I don't know. Cool. So we have this kind of like starting point for like some stuff we want to do. So what I want to do is first is display the connected address. So we do that right here. It's going to give us this really ugly thing. So we want to make that prettier. So we're going to go to scaffold ETH docs, and we're going to go to the address component, and we're going to take a look at that. That's a much cleaner look, right? How do we do that? All we got to do is wrap it in this address component. Address equals like this, and then close it off. Save it. It's going to automatically add the thing here if you're using the VS Code and you have the if you're component. So now let's take a look at it, and it is right there. We go. It's right here. Something has an error, but I don't know what that is. Okay. So now it's really a lot better looking, right? We have this connected address, and matter of fact, we don't really even need to say connected address here. It's going to look a lot better like this, which is the address. And then what we can also do is show how to write to the contract. So maybe we want to actually like change who the boss is. So first, let's read from the contract. We have this balance or address component. We could also get the balance. There's a balance component here. We could see how much ETH that account has. So we could say balance right below it. Balance equals address equal connected address. There we go. And then it would show how much balance. So this is cool. We want to maybe see who the boss is. So we're going to go to scaffold ETH docs, and we're going to go to read contract. So we also have hooks. So this particular it's missing. So we can add it by just calling quick, and then add it back up here. So it's going to put it at top. And then the function is called, so we can actually completely remove this like that. And we can call the data current boss, like this. So what this is, who the boss is. So we have this variable current boss. So now we can say current, let's see, boss equals, we want to wrap that in something. So let's wrap it in address equals, and boom, like that. So now we have the boss. Current boss is, was it Vitalik? let's read it right now. Okay, so let's go home. Okay, so now we can hit refresh. Oh man, oh man, this is really bad connection or something. I'm gonna have to tether. Okay, you're in deploy. Did I mess something up here? I feel like there's some error somewhere or something, but just make sure. I think it's because the hydration failed because the issue does not match with that. Yeah, I think something's going on with the internet connection. It's really bad. Okay, now it's good, but it's still not good. I don't know what's going on. I think it's because of the internet, so I'm going to try to tether to my phone and see if that helps. Probably not. Oh, we're connected to Ethereum now. That's way better. So ETH Global Internet is just, actually maybe that is the problem. I'm on Ethereum. Okay. All All right, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So what do we want to do now? So now maybe we want to add a form to write to the contract, right? We can have our users balance. So now you can come in here and you can see what that's going to look like. So in this case, we need to be able to add a button. And then we also need to probably add an input for who we want to make the boss to. So first, let's do address input. So we can come over here and show what it looks like. So it's going to be this address input. And let's go to that page. And then what we'll do is put it in here, I guess. Actually, we'll probably put it here. There we go. So we want to call this address input. It's missing, so we got to import it. And then we don't have this set address defined, and we don't have a value defined as well. So what we need to do is use some state. So basically with scaffold ETH, we want to be able to pass that address. And so in order to do that, we need to send it with state. So we'll grab that. And so I think that's going to go right here. And then we're also going to get an error because the state's not defined. So we can hit quick and then add that import. So now we have state installed. And so now we have the ability now where we can just input here on this line. And there's some kind of weird thing. It's always there. I need to get that fixed. But we have this thing that allows us to input something. So vitalik.eth. So now it's ENS resolution. It resolves. It gets the little PSP. But then the button's not working yet. So we need to fix the button. So the button is right here. Use scaffold write contract. In order to do that, we need to interact with our contract. So we're going to call this use scaffold write contract, pass the contract. So we can do that again right below, like this. And we're missing use scaffold write contract, so we can import that like this. So now we have everything we need pretty much. Now we just need to change the button. So this is a full example of a button to update. So we can grab it. It's not going to be the exact or the right stuff in the button, but let's just add it real quick. Okay, so first of all, the function doesn't exist. So we need to call, what is it? What did I call it? Set user boss or something like that. Let's see. Debug contracts, I called it update the boss. So I need to add this update the boss in there. So let's do that. Update the boss. The argument is what's being in state. So it is the address, I think. What do I need to use? Set address. Yeah, address, it should be right. Oh, .toString. Let's see if that works actually. It might work. We want to use set greeting. We just want to call it set boss. Okay. Oh, that's not right. So is it just address.toString? No. Let me see the example again real quick. What do I need to do? So yeah, the function, so we can say, look here, the function calls update the boss. It wants an address. Yeah, it should work. Not sure why that's not working. Huh. Okay. Well, we might have to just keep going just so we can go through the full demo. I'm not sure why that's not working. Let me try it one more time. Let's see. Address. .toString? No? Okay. Not sure. I'm not sure why it's not taking that. Because the address is here. We're saving it in a state as someone types it. So, huh? I think so, yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I don't. Maybe you're right. It should work. Okay, let's try it. Vitalik.eth. Oh. Vitalik.eth. Set boss. There it goes. Boom. Now updated. So, thank you. Yeah, that worked. Sorry, I've been working all day, and this is like my third workshop today, so. Okay, cool. It's working. Now we have this kind of very basic application, but at least we were able to read keys that come with the Hard Hat or Foundry because they're all shared keys. So we need to generate a deployer account. So the next thing we're going to do is do a yarn generate, and this is going to generate a private key and public key pair put it on your machine. If you're using Hardhat, it's going to drop it in this env file. If you're using Foundry, I think it puts it in like a pass key. But it creates a wallet address for us. And we also can do yarn accounts, and we can see that wallet address, and we can see how much funds it has, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this address. Let's see if that works. There we go. And I'm going to use my wallet on my phone just to send some Sepolia ETH here. So I'm going to use my Punk wallet, and this is going to just basically allow me to scan. So I'll hit scan, allow, boom, and then I will send some Sepolia ETH. I'm going to change it here to ETH and send 0.1, sure. Okay, 0.1 Sepolia ETH. Cool, now let's see if it worked. Now, depending on your setup, depending on when you do this, and what version of Scaffold ETH you're using, the current Scaffold ETH has a little bit of a bug, and it's for some reason it's showing that I have 0 balance. And what I think it is that it's come into the Scaffold config, or sorry, Hardhat config, and we need to update the endpoint for with a proper RPC. I think this one's messed up. Something's wrong with it. So what I want to do is actually use Alchemy for right now. So I'm going to grab this string, which is my key, and I'm going to replace it with this RPC endpoint with my API key. So I'm going to save that. And now let's see, let's do a yarn account, and let's see if it actually gives us an account. Maybe it didn't go through. ETH 0.1. Should be good. Let's try it one more time. So basically we're just funding this account with some Sepolia ETH. There it goes. Okay, now it finally went. Okay, so I have 0.2 Sepolia ETH on this wallet. So now what I can do, I can either update my config here to point to whatever chain I want to deploy to, or I can just pass it along into the deploy flag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a yarn deploy -- network Sepolia. And that's going to take my contract and push it to Sepolia. It didn't need to compile it, so it didn't need to generate any types. It's deploying it, and drum roll. You got this? Okay, any minute now. I think Sepolia is just slow. I think everyone's just testing it right now. Okay, cool. So it deployed successfully. So now we have our contract deployed on here, but we also need to update our front end to be able to hit it. So the contract's deployed. It doesn't show that it's deployed here. Again, I think my front end is just acting up on me, but let's go over here and let's go into the Next.js folder, and there is a scaffold config file. So it is scaffold. I'm going to put it on change.sepolia, and we can also change the polling interval, and we can also update the API key as well for Alchemy if we wanted to. So let's do that just in case there's any issues. We can paste it in here. And now we should be able to go back to Scaffold ETH, and let's take a look. So it kicks us out of the burner wallet because we don't want to use the burner wallet anymore. It's somewhat insecure, so we need to now use MetaMask. So let's connect. So it knows that we're on a test net. Okay, connect. So there it goes, we're on Sepolia. We can see that there's a boss set, which is, I guess that's my burner wallet. Oh, I got a new burner wallet for some reason. Okay, but that's okay. We lost the burner wallet, I don't know where it went, but that's okay. We have this. Now we can, and we can hit set boss. It's gonna be a little slower because we need to sign the transaction. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's just make sure it works. We can see the transaction as well. Cool, that was successful. Now Vitalik's the boss on. Oh, and another thing is you can do yarn verify as well. So you can do yarn verify. So if we look at the contract, if we go here to debug contracts, and click it, it's probably not verified right here because it's just raw, bytecode that they know about. but what we could do is just verify it. So let's do that. So we're going to do yarn verify -- network Sepolia, and that's going to basically like make sure that the bytecode matches what the ABI should be. So basically sends that to Etherscan, and then Etherscan verifies that. So that just takes a second, and then it will verify your contract. There it goes. Now it's verified. So now if we refresh, we have a verified contract right here, and it's got all the source code. So that's very useful. So now we can deploy our front end. So there's a command for that as well. It's yarn vercel YOLO -- prod. Basically, it's a yarn vercel command, but it ignores build errors. So if there's any build errors, it will ignore those, and then it's using the prod flag so that it'll push it to production. So we do that. And it's going to ask you if you want to, so you'll need to connect to your terminal to Vercel, and you can, it'll ask you what project, if you have more than one project. Do you want to link it to? You can say no, we can just create a new one. Do you want to link it to an existing project? No. And then we can type it in. So we can do like demo or whatever, demo example. And ask us where the directory is, say enter. So this will basically set up the project for us, and then it's going to ask us if we want to modify any of the settings. We say no. And then it's going to deploy it. So it's going to push it to Vercel, and it's going to give us this URL. So we can grab that. And I think I'm using this account, so I need to load it over here. Let's load it up. There it goes. So it's in the middle of building. So this might take a little while, depending on how fast Vercel is at the moment. But for the most part, it's good to go. So yeah, so we were able to make a very basic contract using scaffold.eth, push it out, deploy it out, or to Vercel, and do that pretty quickly within, I think it was like 45 minutes, and I had some problems. So it's pretty easy to build an app with scaffold.eth. And yeah, so I just want to end on a couple notes. So again, if you go to scaffold.eth, go to the docs, everything you should need is there. If you get stuck, there's a Telegram channel where you can get support. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The extensions, take a look at those, especially if you're like building for a certain bounty. You know, there's like some in here for on-chain kit, so you qualify for base. You have the subgraph extension as well. Plus there's also some native base stuff in there as well in scaffold.eth. And you can also create your own extension too. So if you are here at the hackathon or at a future hackathon and you want to build a extension for one particular protocol, that's really useful because then you're like kind of building this thing that you can reuse next time you hack. So if you go to scaffold.eth.io and you go all the way down, there's a section here that has all the extensions available. So there's those ones there, but then there's like EIP 712, there's Ponder, ERC20, there is currency conversion, ERC20, quadratic voting, there's a bunch of these. So the scaffold.eth2 Chainlink extension. So you know, there's lots of ways that you can just use reuse existing stuff. Last thing is, I would say if you're just getting started building on Ethereum, go to speed building decentralized applications. But more importantly, it's these kind of like challenges that utilize scaffold.eth. So you'll learn scaffold.eth a lot as well as you go, because you'll deploy an NFT, then you'll build a staking app, then you'll build a token vendor, and then you'll build a dice game, and you learn about randomness, and then eventually you'll build a DEX. And once you finish with the DEX, you'll actually join the Build Guild. And yeah, you're welcome. And there's other stuff too, like doing state channels, multi-sig wallets, and then SVG NFTs. So yeah, tons of information there, but I hope that was useful. And yes, we have some time for a question. So I think we might have some questions in the audience. So what kind of question do you have? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see more about the Foundry because so far I've only checked on tutorials that you use are there, and you've innovated on the script of Foundry. It's like not common to see so much usability. So I would like to explore more on that.
Yeah, we can take a second to do that. You know, so with the Foundry build, so the question was, you know, you're interested in Foundry and how that works with scaffold.eth. So basically, yeah, I think if you go to GitHub and you go to Scaffold ETH, I think there might be a found one, but I don't know. It seems like it's old. It's out of date. Yeah. So you actually probably just want to use NPX. That's the best way. So we can kind of just do that latest, this, and then we could say Foundry and Foundry. So it's pretty much the same exact setup. Yeah, it might take too long actually. I would say, but just maybe you could do this on your own time and kind of explore there. I mean, the main differences in Foundry, I think, do you know the differences in Foundry? Yeah, like one example would be like the yarn generate. It creates a passkey, but yarn deploy and all these commands that I've been typing are exactly the same. But you could always go into the package JSON and see what those commands are. But I think the experience is going to be almost identical. The tests and the scripts. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying to read the stuff on chain. I didn't go much deep into that. But if you read and update the value, can it be like fast enough? Can you do like, you showed like scaffold read contracts, can I read like press button and it goes to the context?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like you're talking about like adding like an external account or like an external address kind of thing?
This is almost like this.
Yeah.
So you show that you can get the balance of the year.
Yeah.
If I put a button saying oh, max on the input field,
Mhm.
just copies the value from the Ethereum balance and puts on the input field, then passes on to the argument.
Yeah, that would be pretty easy to do. Yeah, yeah, because you could read and put it into state and then reuse it or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem. Thanks for listening in. So cool. Catch you next time. Thank you, dude.
I'd like to see you around more questions.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll be here today and tomorrow. So yeah, I can actually.
I started this with the V1 like